A $200,000 Lego mystery pulled the internet into a strange franchise dispute. It starts with Brian Mansell, who placed a massive Star Wars Lego collection on consignment at a Bricks and MiniFigs store in Oregon. Consignment meant Brian still owned the sets while the store sold them and paid him his share. Early posts valued it around $200,000, but later records suggested the real number was closer to $107,000. The dispute exploded after November 14, 2024, when Crystal and Ben Gorman, the former Salem franchise owners, were removed from the store. Brandon Best, who operated another Bricks and MiniFigs location in Eugene with Josh Johnson, arrived that night as part of a franchise takeover. That is key because after the handover, Brian's collection was no longer clearly accounted for. Corporate Bricks and MiniFigs claimed they found only a small number of sets possibly tied to Brian, worth roughly $2,000 to $5,000. That created the central problem. If Brian's remaining inventory should have been worth tens of thousands, then the sets were either missing before the takeover, moved somewhere else, sold without being tracked, or removed during the transition. Several theories surfaced. Some suggested ordinary thieves had stolen the collection, but the Gormans said prior break-ins did not involve Brian's sets. Others accused YouTuber Reckless Ben, who made the original viral documentary. But that theory does not make sense because Ben was not involved when the collection disappeared. That leaves the dispute between the Gormans, Corporate Bricks and MiniFigs, and the incoming owners. Corporate pointed suspicion at the Gormans, saying the store had unpaid bills, lease problems, and financial trouble. They also raised Crystal's old theft-related history from decades earlier. Crystal pushed back, saying that had nothing to do with the takeover or Brian's property. The Gormans argued Brian's remaining sets were in the Salem store on November 14. Corporate argued only a small amount was present and suggested much of the collection may have been off-site, sold, or never in the store at all. Both sides claimed photos would prove the other side wrong. When the photos were reviewed, the story got murkier. Corporate's pictures showed shelves that looked emptier than earlier October footage. The Gormans said expensive Star Wars sets were taken off display at night and placed in safes because of prior burglary concerns. Corporate said Brandon photographed all the Star Wars inventory he saw, but some items shown in Crystal's photos did not appear in Corporate's list. Then came the U-Haul issue. Crystal said Brandon arrived with a large U-Haul truck. Corporate first denied that, saying he came in a rental car. But photo evidence later showed a U-Haul outside the store. Corporate then changed the explanation, saying Brandon used it for a camper trailer, not Lego sets. It may fit the timeline, but it still added suspicion around the handover. After sorting through photos, sales records, inventory lists, and interviews, the $200,000 claim started to fall apart. Crystal Gorman's inventory showed the collection was likely worth about $107,000, not $200. The store had already sold about $24 of Brian's collection before the takeover, and Brian had been paid about $17,000, roughly matching his share. That meant the remaining collection should have been worth around $82,000. Corporate's estimate of $2,000 to $5,000 was clearly too low, but the photos did not prove the full $82,000 was in the store either. After reviewing more than 200 photos and videos, around $21,000 Lego matching, Brian's inventory could be proven in the store that night. That is far more than Corporate first claimed, but still leaves a gap. The next clue came from storage. Brian had apparently made a separate deal with M&R Productions involving stored Lego. Some of those items appeared to match Brian's inventory records. If those sets were part of the same pool, then $10,000 to $20,000 of the supposedly missing Lego may not actually be missing at all. Then the point-of-sale records added another layer. Store records showed about $51,000 in Star Wars sales that appeared to match Brian's collection, while Crystal's tracking sheet showed only about $24,000. In recorded sales for Brian, that is a serious mismatch. Some of the difference may come from layaways, where customers placed deposits on sets but did not fully buy them right away. Crystal said layaway was unusually common with Brian's collection because the sets were rare and in demand. Records also showed roughly $10,000 in possible Brian related sales that were not marked as sold on Crystal's spreadsheet. Crystal admitted the spreadsheet may not have been fully updated if sales were completed while she was not present or if staff failed to flag them properly. That does not prove theft, but it does show bad record keeping. So where did the Legos go? The answer is probably not one clean, dramatic heist. The evidence suggests several things happened at once. Some sets were in the store on takeover night. Some may have been off-site. Some were likely sold. Some may have been tied up in layaway. Some may have been part of a side deal. And some still remain unexplained. The best estimate from the investigation is that only about $10 to $20,000 in Lego remains truly unexplained, not the $200,000 number that made the story viral. But that does not mean Brian was made whole. Based on records, he may still be owed $50,000 and $83,000 for sets that were sold, transferred, mishandled, or never reconciled. In the end, it does not look like a perfect crime. It looks like a messy franchise takeover, poor records, disputed inventory, bad communication, and a company that chose legal warfare over customer accountability. The cleanest solution would be simple. Drop the lawsuits, reconcile the records, and compensate Brian for what he is still owed.